Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Sid of the Commandment Keepers Church. We have a detailed broadcast for our brothers and sisters internationally. The title of today's broadcast will be Satan Goes to School. Satan goes to school, brothers and sisters. Okay, get ready to dive into a riveting exploration of how today's academic institutions are not just places of learning, but battlegrounds for ideologies. Across the nation, students are being led away from traditional values, and we're here to uncover the astonishing ways in which these schools have become vessels for a satanic narrative. Okay, join us, brothers and sisters, as we unravel the threads of deception that permeate the educational system, revealing how it shapes our society at large. From grade schools to universities, we'll shine light on the surprising shifts happening in classrooms. It's time to take a closer look at the curriculum and values being instilled in the next generation. Okay, buckle up, brothers and sisters, for a thought provoking discussion, a dialogue that challenges the status quo and redefines what we think we know about education today. Okay, children are encountering spiritual challenges in these academic institutions. Okay, grade schools across the country have embraced the alphabet lifestyle, evidenced by the removal of gendered language for staff and students in order to adopt a more inclusive way of teaching. Okay, many believe that indoctrination was a phenomenon that began only in college, but recent revelations have unveiled a shocking truth. It turns out, brothers and sisters, that satanic influences have crept into our educational systems much earlier, right from grade school. Okay, the battle for young minds is more intense than we ever imagined.
A school in Vermont is dropping the terms male, female, boy, and girl from its health class, saying it wants to be more inclusive. WBZ's David Wade shows us what the district will use instead.
Fifth graders at the Founders Memorial School are preparing for their unit on science and health about the human body. But their health class will look different this year, and the district says it'll be more gender inclusive.
That strategy has been endorsed not just by Outright, but by the Agency of Education, the Department of Health.
Outright Vermont, a youth LGBTQ plus organization, helped to craft the language, which was approved by the state. Instead of saying boy, male, or assigned male at birth, teachers will say person who produces sperm. In place of girl, female, and assigned female at birth, it'll be person who produces eggs.
By breaking down language to be more inclusive, to talk about what body parts do rather than who people are, it helps young people access the information no matter what identities they hold.
Vermont Family Alliance thinks it's confusing and an inappropriate way to approach sex education.
Every student should have equal access to scientific reality. Doesn't matter what their sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter what their gender identity is.
The conversation reaching the national stage after the letter was sent to news outlets and organizations like Parents Defending Education.
They get smeared and labeled as hateful or transphobic or bigoted when they raise concerns about changes like this.
Parents in the Essex Westford district reached out directly to the grassroots organization. Their mission claims to shine a light on what they believe are harmful agendas being imposed in schools. Outright Vermont says there's nothing harmful about it.
They can connect to this body part does this thing, and that means XYZ for my future.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to the book of Job, the 9th chapter and the 24th verse. The title of today's broadcast: Satan Goes to School. Satan goes to school, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're at Job chapter 9, verse 24, and it reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Job 9:24 reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he, brothers and sisters? Take a look at that. The Bible reveals to us that the laws implemented by politicians have led to corruption in society. Okay, it's talking justice here, right? That's why the Lord refers to judges. Okay, we're talking legislation. According to the teachings in the Bible, society has been influenced by the legislation created by the lawmakers. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Why? The Bible informs us that the moral fabric of society has been compromised due to the decisions of those in positions of legislative authority. Think about that. Okay, the Bible warned us that in the last days, wickedness would increase at a rapid pace. Examine that, brothers and sisters. The passage prophesied a moral decline and spiritual decay where evil would become more pervasive and accepted. And we're going to talk about that today. Why? Given this prophecy, brothers and sisters, it's difficult to deny that we are experiencing some of the most immoral and corrupt times in the entire history of human civilization. Okay, Satan has been actively working to influence and corrupt various spheres of society, especially the academic world, especially, okay, the infiltration of academic institutions by atheists, Satanists, and other opposing forces cannot be overlooked or dismissed. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Why? Atheists, brothers and sisters, atheists have shaped the curriculum. Okay, they've shaped the curriculum and attitudes within academia, often promoting values that are contrary to biblical beliefs. Let's talk about that. Okay, we have to talk about that. Why? The academic world has been influenced by atheists and Satanists, which is undeniable. It cannot be denied. Okay, think about that. Medical schools, brothers and sisters, medical schools are now promoting the idea that scientific evidence supports the concept of being born in the wrong body. Parents are investing large sums of money to send their children to medical schools only for them to be taught that transgender ideologies are normal. Okay, brothers and sisters, many parents are unknowingly supporting a medical paradigm that endorses the idea that gender identity is a valid and scientifically supported aspect of human identity.
For many who identify as transgender, the person who they are in their minds doesn't match their bodies. Right now, researchers at the Medical College of Georgia are studying whether there is biological evidence of this mental, physical struggle. News Channel 6's Ashley Osborne reports.
Hello guys, it's me, Nikki.
Recently, popular beauty influencer and YouTube star known as Nikki Tutorials came out publicly to her more than 13 million subscribers.
When I was younger, I was born in the wrong body, which means that I am transgender.
Right now, researchers at MCG are studying if there's biological proof you can be born in the wrong body. In other words, can the gender of your body be different than the gender of your brain?
I've seen a number of these patients for about 20 years.
OBGYN Dr. Lawrence C. Lehman is the chief of reproductive endocrinology, infertility, and genetics, and he studies the science of gender identity.
Because I think there has to be a biological basis for it.
And why do you say that? Why do you think that there must be a biological basis for it?
It just seems that people wouldn't choose to do that, and many of these people know at a very young age they're the opposite sex of what their gender is.
Dr. Graham Tyson says they based their study on research in animals that shows there's a critical period for brain development related to exposure to estrogen or testosterone that impacts gender expression.
That's the time where the brain is able to be masculinized or feminized. And for most, if not all, of the mammals that we've seen this in, it happens right before birth and then a little bit afterwards. Once that exposure occurs, the behavior is lifelong.
So doctors Tyson and Lehman studied the DNA of 30 transgender people and specifically looked at genes involved in estrogen and testosterone metabolism in the brain.
So we were looking for variants in some of the genes in the pathways of estrogen and testosterone metabolism that might affect the way it's metabolized, and so therefore alter the exposure to the brain.
Dr. Tyson says they did find variants in those brain pathways in the transgender people.
Variants in genes cause everything about us that makes us unique people. And so something like blue eyes versus brown eyes, how tall you are. So we see gender identity in that way. And we think that gender is as diverse as any other trait that we have.
The results of this study show some of the first biological evidence of the mental versus physical struggle transgender people say they experience.
We found variants that could go along with that, but it's not totally confirmed whether that is a cause and effect. So you really have to have bigger numbers.
So they plan to continue studying the topic to understand more.
For the majority of people, who we are, the gender that we feel ourselves to be matches what we see on the outside. But that's obviously not always the case.
Medical schools have been infiltrated by the alphabet mafia, a fact that cannot be ignored. Okay, it has been prophesied, it has been predicted that academic institutions in our current society would influence younger generations in a negative way. Okay, these institutions are promoting the idea that transgenderism is entirely normal. Okay, we're going to get into that. Why? Several leading medical schools now provide transgender surgeries, with some of the most prestigious universities in the U.S. offering these procedures to children under 5. Medical schools responsible for training future doctors have successfully advocated for the acceptance of being transgender as a normal phenomenon, brothers and sisters. Okay, many people are unaware that several reputable medical schools are now providing services for transgender surgery. Some of the most well-known universities in the United States, such as Duke University and the University of North Carolina, are actively performing transgender surgeries on children under the age of 5.
Top medical schools in North Carolina are offering social transitioning treatments for children as young as 2 years old. Duke, UNC, and ECU have these programs, which allow for treatments for children that suffer gender dysphoria. The Education First Alliance exposed the experimental treatments. Founder Sloan Rackmuth and board member Dr. Nancy Anderson both join me now. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Sloan, I want to go to you first. Tell us, you guys, your group has exposed this, but how bad is it?
Well, it's really bad. We've been told for years by the left that this isn't going on. And if it is, it's maybe 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds here and there. But it is going on. You're right. In the state of North Carolina, well known, by the way, for its wonderful medical programs, we have Duke, which transitions children at 2. We've got UNC, who transitions children at 3. And then ECU has just added a program that is saturating not only rural health communities, but also schools, and they start at 4. I mean, these big systems cover the entire state of North Carolina, and they're doing it in family medicine. That's right, your corner doctors, their aim is to turn these places into pill mills for children, as young as 2, starting with the social, and then moving with the hormones and so forth.
I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. When I read this, ages 2 to 4. Dr. Anderson, I want to talk about what she was talking about with the primary care physicians. So does this mean that ultimately the parents have to take their kids in to do this? I mean, they're 2 and 4. It's not like they're driving there. So is this falling on the parents? And as far as the primary care physicians, are they being threatened to do this, or is this just what they think needs to be done?
No, medicine has become an activist entity. There are activists that are now physicians and medical providers who have radical progressive ideologies, who have no problem with socially transitioning 2, 3, 4-year-olds in gender affirming care. And just to clarify, these institutions are very specific about the mode of treatment as gender affirming care, which means that this is a pathway, a highway that you can't get off of. As soon as the child thinks or pretends they might be a different sex, then that must be affirmed. And no questions asked lest you be labeled a transphobe. And there are doctors who are adamant about this type of treatment.
Children are undergoing medical castration before they have fully developed, brothers and sisters. Okay, the current state of medical and educational practices related to gender identity is spiraling out of control. Okay, academic environments are being influenced by ideologies that oppose traditional moral values. Okay, these institutions have intentionally fostered an environment where future medical professionals are taught to endorse the practice of chemically castrating children's bodies. Okay, children are undergoing medical procedures to remove their reproductive organs, a process known as medical castration. Okay, and guess what? This transpires before they've learned their ABCs. Okay, there's chemical castration being done to these children. Okay, and they call it gender affirming care. How cute. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Here we see, what do we see, brothers and sisters? Medical schools, universities, top prestigious universities in the United States are promoting this garbage. Okay, they've destroyed the truth of science. See that? And we want to talk about that. Why? What college used to be, what academics used to be 25 years ago, it is no longer that. Okay, it is no longer that. And we're going to show, brothers and sisters, what is going on in these classrooms. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Follow us, brothers and sisters, to the book of Proverbs, the 14th chapter in the NLT version of the Bible. Brothers and sisters, we're at Proverbs, the 14th chapter and the 15th verse, and we're in the NLT. The title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Satan Goes to School, brothers and sisters. We're at the book of Proverbs, the 14th chapter and the 15th verse, and it reads, only simpletons believe everything they're told. Only simpletons believe everything they're told. The prudent carefully consider their steps. Let's take a look at that again. Proverbs, the 14th chapter and the 15th verse, and it reads, only simpletons believe everything they're told. The prudent carefully consider their steps. Take a look at that, brothers and sisters. The Bible warns that blindly trusting without doing your own independent research in the last days will lead to severe consequences. Okay, the text indicates that in the last days, widespread indoctrination will be prevalent everywhere. See that? Think about that. The Lord advises us not to blindly trust a corrupt world like the one we face today. Think about that. The Bible cautions us about the consequences of being too trusting without conducting independent research in the last days. We're in the last days. Okay, just because a medical school tells you something doesn't make it accurate. Okay, just because an Ivy League university tells you something does not make it accurate. And that's what the Bible is warning us of. Okay, according to the passage, the Lord reminds us that indoctrination will be prevalent in the last days. See that? We have to put it out there. The Lord advises his listeners against blindly trusting in a corrupt society like the one we live today. Okay, like the one we're living in today. Think about that. God reminds us that we live in a wicked world. So blindly trusting medical information without doing our own research is a serious mistake, just like the COVID vaccine, right? And all the people who have died from blood clots and other issues going on with their health subsequent to getting that shot. Okay. Let's talk about it. We're going to put it all on the table today. Why? The Bible suggests that only someone unserious would accept medical information without investigating it personally. Okay, and this is why I always warn brothers and sisters, always read the side effects to the medication they're offering. Okay, if you have children and they're suggesting your children get vaccinations, I'd say, hey, sir, don't bring in a needle. Okay, bring the packaging for that medication and read me the side effects, because they give you the documents, they give you the paperwork of the side effects, right? And I have them read it to me and say, sir, I'm having a hard time reading or seeing this. Can you read off to me the side effects, right? Do not take any medication. Do not give any medication to your children if you have children without doing the proper research. Okay, the Lord is warning us. The Bible warns against believing popular scientific theories without verifying their accuracy through your own research. Okay, think about that. Think about that. The Bible advises against blindly accepting commonly held scientific beliefs without personally verifying their accuracy. Okay, and we're going to talk about that today. Why? The Bible emphasizes the importance of conducting independent research in order to safeguard our health. See that? According to the Bible, it is considered immature and irresponsible to rely on medical guidance from doctors without confirming its accuracy ourselves. See that? Let's talk about that. Why? Our health is too important to simply follow medical advice without independently verifying its accuracy. Okay, let's talk. We're going to put it all on the table today, brothers and sisters. We're going to put it all on the table. Why? The indoctrination has occurred at the highest levels of society, including medical schools. Okay, including medical schools. Doctors have embraced the propaganda. They've been pressured into accepting, becoming indoctrinated by the cultural environment. Okay, think about that. Doctors have been led to believe that chemically castrating another person is a justifiable action. Let that sink in. Okay, doctors are unable to resist the influences of the propaganda and indoctrination in these medical institutions. Okay, it is important to remember, brothers and sisters, that just because someone claims something to be true does not necessarily make it so. Just because a doctor asserts something as true does not automatically validate its accuracy. Once a person has been indoctrinated by these academic establishments, it often results in self-harm. Okay, many people living the homosexual lifestyle have embraced the deception of transgenderism, causing irreparable harm to their lives.
June is Pride Month. It is dedicated to celebrating those who identify as LGBTQ, but for some in that community, lack of access to health care can compromise that identity.
But now, University Hospitals has a new clinic for LGBTQ gender care services. News 5's Jesse Schultz joins us live. And Jesse, you found it's filling a much-needed gap.
Yeah, leaders of the LGBTQ gender care clinic say whether it's as simple as finding a friendly physician or as complex as getting a gender affirmation surgery, they want to be a one-stop shop for it all. And for a patient I spoke to, it has truly been life-changing. Robert Illier knew early on that who he was on the inside didn't match the outside.
I was really young, and when I knew that I wasn't necessarily in the right body.
He was assigned female at birth.
I knew that wasn't me. As I got a little older, the deeper into Facebook and Google and all the community I got, the more I learned about trans people and trans men, trans women, non-binary people. I was learning more about what made sense.
At 18, he came out as transgender. Illier began taking hormones, but his journey to becoming his true self was just starting. For years, searching for doctors who could perform the surgeries he needed.
22, 21 years old is when I finally found a team in an area that took me seriously.
He found that team at University Hospitals.
We are cognizant, we are very aware that the care that we provide for the LGBTQ population has been subpar, with poor access and poor outcomes for a very long period of time.
Dr. Shabam Gupta is the director of the Surgical Gender Affirmation Program. He says they're committed to moving the needle, and the calls for his services just keep on coming.
You come in through any door, and you can get the entirety of your transition done within the UN system.
Ilir got his top surgery in 2019.
I was floored as it was a top surgery, and then I found out they partnered with a urologist for bottom surgery.
And just completed the second surgery in a 3-part phalloplasty.
I will never forget the feeling when they called me to schedule my surgery day. They said, your insurance covered it. We're good to go. Here's your pre-op and here's your surgery day. I looked at my wife. My jaw would not close. I started sobbing.
And while there's still a long road ahead of him, filled with healing and more hormones, he says he finally feels at home in the skin he's in.
But I would never change a thing. To be able to look down on myself and be able to see everything the way that I saw myself, I can't even explain.
Many universities with affiliated medical hospitals across the country offer transgender surgeries. Okay, several universities are connected to hospitals that provide these procedures. Think about that. When students begin their studies at these academic institutions, they are encouraged to accept ideas that are contrary to biblical teachings. Think about that. Okay, many universities across the country are affiliated with medical hospitals that provide transgender surgeries. Okay, these institutions had extensive programs dedicated to offering gender-affirming procedures to those seeking transition-related healthcare. Okay, why? Academics is filled with atheists. Okay, there is no academic integrity. All right, here it is. Medical schools have convinced future doctors that giving children puberty blockers, that chemically castrating a man or a woman, by cutting off a woman's breast, by cutting off a man's penis, that's gender affirming care. This is going on at medical school, brothers and sisters. Satan is in these colleges. Okay, Satan goes not only to school, but he goes to college. He goes to college, brothers and sisters, without any shadow of a doubt. Okay? Let's go into the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, brothers and sisters. Ephesians 6. Brothers and sisters, follows to the book of Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 12th verse. The title of today's broadcast: Satan goes to school. Satan goes to school. Okay, we're at Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Brothers and sisters, follow us there. Follow us there. Ephesians 6 and 12 reads, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Let's take a look at that. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, and it reads, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness." Where? In high places. In high places. Brothers and sisters, the Bible foretold that in the last days, in the end times, popular culture would be strongly influenced by satanic practices. Okay, what we're witnessing in the realm of academia is prevalence of atheistic ideologies being introduced. There's no other explanation. Okay, God indicates that without comprehension of spiritual warfare, you cannot fully grasp the cultural environment. You don't understand the landscape, okay? You don't understand the culture. Why? If you don't have an understanding of the spiritual, okay? Why? Lacking awareness of spiritual warfare renders one unable to truly comprehend the societal dynamics at play. Okay? And let's talk about that. Why? The Bible warned that in the last days, popular culture would be heavily influenced by atheistic practices. Okay? Think about that. Why? Currently, the academic world is experiencing a rise in atheistic teachings. Okay, God emphasizes that without understanding spiritual warfare, brothers and sisters, you cannot grasp the true nature of the cultural landscape. Okay, open your eyes, brothers and sisters. Recognizing spiritual warfare is necessary to fully comprehend societal issues. Okay, let's talk about that. Why? The Bible warns us that there are Satanists and atheists holding prominent positions, which has had a profound impact on society. Look at what he says here. He says there's spiritual wickedness where? In high places. These are high-ranking officials in every corner of society, including academics, especially academics. Remember, brothers and sisters, it was the tree of knowledge. Right? Satan has always used knowledge to get us to be subdued. Okay? It's the tree of knowledge. And here he is again with that same fruit from that same tree. Okay? Many physicians turned a blind eye to the disturbing revelation that Texas Children's Hospital, one of the largest in the world, was involved in chemically castrating children. Okay? It's undeniable that Texas Children's Hospital has harmed the lives of countless children. Many people ignored the fact that doctors from Texas Children's Hospital have admitted to witnessing minors undergo chemical castration on a daily basis.
Only on Fox, a second whistleblower has emerged with allegations against Texas Children's Hospital and its controversial pediatric clinic. It's under fire for delivering gender-affirming health care to young people under the age of 18.
Now, that former TCH nurse spoke exclusively with Fox 26's Greg Grugan, who's joining us here live in the studio. Greg, what'd you have to say?
Caroline and Rashi, Vanessa Sivage worked with dozens of children undergoing treatment for gender dysphoria before she was fired in June, and tells us previous allegations by Dr. Ethan Heim that Texas Children's continued to deliver that care even after it was outlawed by the state legislature are absolutely true. What was your reaction when Dr. Heim provided evidence that TCH was illegally continuing transgender health care on minors in violation of Texas law?
So Texas Children's, to shield themselves from liability, made multiple statements stating that this program was not happening, that they were not providing hormones to minors, unequivocally condemning the existence of this program. But it was all a lie. And so an anonymous whistleblower, who we now know as Dr. Heim, came forward, exposed that. And I read that report at work one day, and I said, this is absolutely true. This is happening. And
once Dr. Heim had come out, you were at something of a crossroads. You could stand back and say, hey, look, the word's out, or you could become involved in the whistleblowing process. Why did you decide to take what many people see as a very principled stand with consequences?
So I knew I had to come forward to affirm that, and that's exactly what I did. I anonymously provided a testimony affirming what had already been reported as true. This provider would prescribe cross-sex hormones at regular visits to healthy minors, to healthy children who were very confused about their sex. And he would affirm the false identities they had adopted. And in my view, he would convince parents that this was the absolute best course of treatment for their confused child. And it's a very interesting thing when a parent is in a clinic room and hears from a doctor in a white lab coat with many, many degrees on the wall that this initiating their child down a path of medical transition into the opposite sex is going to save their life. For many parents who are well-intentioned and well-meaning, they buy into this. They truly believe that this is going to help their child. It's my belief that many doctors in transgender medicine only see the dollar sign. And for a doctor to advise parent and child alike that a hormone will solve their inner turmoil or their issue, whatever it may be, is egregious and horrific, and it's child abuse.
Medical schools have influenced up-and-coming doctors to believe that chemically castrating children is appropriate. Okay, using science to harm children through gender-affirming care angers God. It offends God. Okay, throughout the United States of America, doctors are prescribing puberty blockers to children, negatively impacting their futures. Okay, gender-affirming care involves doctors providing medication that prevent a child from going through puberty. Think about that, how horrible that is. Okay, that's sorcery. That's witchcraft. Okay, medical schools have conditioned future physicians to think that administering chemical castration to children is justified. Okay, across the United States, doctors are providing puberty blockers to children, a practice that damages their futures and their overall well-being. Okay, and we're going to put that on the table. Why? Gender-affirming care involves giving medications that prevent young people from experiencing natural puberty. Think about that. Think about a girl who never goes through puberty. Think about a young boy who never goes through puberty. Right? This form of care is a harmful idea originating from the depths of hell, and it is impossible to deny its damaging effects on vulnerable children. Okay, many people have forgotten that the doctor who blew the whistle at the Texas Children's Hospital was fired for speaking out against the chemical castration of children. Okay, doctors who voiced their concerns about this practice have since had their careers destroyed. Okay, medical practitioners, medical professionals who had the moral courage to speak against the unethical practices of chemical castration faced repercussions in their careers. Okay, let's talk about that. Why? Dr. Hamey, a physician at the Children's Hospital in Texas, confessed to federal agents that he witnessed children undergoing chemical castration on a daily basis, despite it being illegal under state law.
My name is Eitan Heim. I'm a general and trauma surgeon. I was the anonymous whistleblower who exposed Texas Children's Hospital, the largest children's hospital in the world, for lying about the existence of their transgender program, a program that would manipulate, mutilate, and sterilize healthy young children. There's a reason I'm here today. It's because for exposing this truth, my own government manufactured a case to send me to prison for 10 years.
Dr. Heim, can you just share, why did you decide to speak out against gender reassignment practices at Texas Children's Hospital?
Yeah, so the reason, and that's a really important question, because what would animate a person to risk his entire career to blow the whistle about something like this? And it was because all of my experience working with children at Texas Children's Hospital, which is an amazing hospital, by the way. They have some problems in their leadership, but what the doctors do, what the nurses do on a daily basis is amazing. The reason is because I understand and have seen the effects of what these blockers do, what these hormones do, and what these surgeries do. They are destroying the lives of these children. They are putting them down a road where they become a chronic medical patient that they can never come back from.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, the 18th and 19th verse. The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Satan goes to college. Satan goes to school also. Okay, we're at 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, and it reads, "Let no man deceive himself. Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise in this world, let him become a fool that he may be wise. Verse 19 reads, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, he takes the wise in their own craftiness. Look at that, brothers and sisters. Let's take a look at this. This is Paul here. This is the Apostle Paul. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18, and it reads, let no man or woman deceive themselves. If any man or woman among you seems to be wise in this world, let he or she become a fool, that they may become wise. For the wisdom of this world, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, brothers and sisters. Okay, the Bible cautions that academic institutions are under the influence of Satan, a fact that cannot be ignored. He tells us, wisdom in this world is foolishness. Think about that. Okay, it's no coincidence that a majority of students on college campuses lean towards atheism. Okay, it's not a coincidence. Satan targets college campuses as a breeding ground for immorality among the youth. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. Why? The Bible clearly warns us that attending college is not necessarily a path that brings you closer to God. Okay, higher education. Think about that. Higher education institutions are under the influence and control of forces opposed to biblical principle. Okay, and this is what Paul warned us of. Okay, Satan has a significant presence within the academic world, and their influences, his influence, demonic influences, cannot be overlooked or dismissed. It simply cannot. Okay, the Bible and many believers warn that academics, the academic environment, is not a neutral territory, brothers and sisters. Okay, college campuses is a place where spiritual battles take place and where Satan's influence can subtly sway young minds away from God. Okay, college campuses, brothers and sisters, are battlegrounds. They are battlegrounds where moral standards are challenged and where moral behaviors are ignored. Okay, morality is totally ignored. Immorality is totally normalized. Okay, and this is what Paul was warning us of. All right, parents used to encourage us to attend college for the purpose of earning more money. But now it seems to come at a cost of your moral standards. Okay, according to the teachings of the Bible, to gain wisdom in the eyes of the world, one must renounce God. See that? Let's talk about that. This particular passage serves as a critique. Okay, this is a critique of secular education in our modern times. Okay, the Bible indicates to us that to be considered intelligent by societal standards, you must turn away from God. It's mandatory. Okay, let's talk about that. Why? Why, brothers and sisters? The Bible warns us about the potential conflict between secular education and biblical values. Okay, God points out the moral decay present in the education system, especially amongst those pursuing higher education. It is important to be aware of the infiltration of Satanism in academic institutions. Okay, college often encourages students to question the historical accuracy of the Bible and its teachings. Many people overlook the prevalence of the Big Bang Theory and evolution in university curriculums, leading to a rejection of biblical teachings. Okay, guess what? A popular blogger recently conducted interviews with college students regarding their beliefs in evolution versus biblical creation. And brothers and sisters, their responses were surprising. Okay, the majority of college students dismissed the creation story from the Bible in favor of atheistic beliefs like the Big Bang Theory and evolution.
Okay, so when it comes to creation versus evolution, which would you say that you believe the most?
That's actually a really good question because I'm at a point in my life where I was raised in like a Christian family and church and stuff, and raised to be essentially a creationist, the traditional Christian family. But the more that I go on my studies, the more I lose faith in what I previously held in. So I want to go as far as saying I'm a atheist now, but I am losing more and more faith in my previously held creationist beliefs.
Cool. Were you guys raised in a Christian home?
Yes, we were.
Yes, I was.
Yes, definitely.
I was actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So I went to church for up until around like 8 years old.
Yes.
So when it comes to the whole creation evolution debate, which would you say that you believe the most?
Definitely creation.
Evolution.
Well, I'm actually a biology student, so I have to kind of believe in the evolution part.
I would believe in evolution the most.
I believe in evolution. I'm more of a science guy.
To me, evolution makes sense because of the education that I've gotten growing up. But traditionally, as a family, I've been raised to believe in creation.
Evolution, 100%.
Evolution.
And what convinced you that evolution was true? What was the most convincing thing for you?
Just science, everything that I've learned in school.
Just what school has taught me, I kind of believe that. I believe the universe was created as the Bible said, and then my personal belief is that the creators stepped back and let evolution take place.
Well, I'm a computer scientist, so I kind of really believe in science, and so yeah, it's the evidence.
I think a lot of people these days want to base their knowings and beliefs off of something, physical evidence. Just seeing the evolution in bones and with apes and to humans, just seeing that whole evolutionary change.
Basically, the teachings in public schools, what I was brought up learning, what I've looked up on the internet. It's actually a big passion of mine to kind of spread the word, and I believe people shouldn't live in ignorance, and that's what I think creationism is.
Colleges are teaching young people to question the authenticity of the Bible. Anyone who teaches the Big Bang Theory or evolution is an atheist, and that cannot be denied. Okay, young people are being introduced to alternative ideas on how the earth was created by atheists working in these universities. Okay, these academic institutions are controlled by the devil. And don't get me started on HBCUs. Okay, HBCUs are satanic. Number one, they're overrun with the alphabet mafia. You go onto any HBCU and you see the alphabet mafia running the entire school. Okay, and these HBCUs are controlled by liberal whites. How do we know? The colleges, most of the HBCU colleges were named after white liberals. Okay, let's be clear on that. Spelman College, Spelman, yes, the HBCU was named after Laura Spelman, who was John D. Rockefeller's wife. We know who Rockefeller is. Morehouse was named after Henry Morehouse, who was also an evil Caucasian man. Okay, and do I mean to say all white people are evil? No. But why would you be naming an HBCU after someone who's not black, but then say it's a black college? Brothers and sisters, those colleges are promoting more wicked than the PWIs, okay? The predominantly white universities, okay? The HBCUs. When I caught on to it, I'm thinking, why would HBCUs have Greek fraternities? If you're promoting being pro-black, why do they have Greek fraternities? So I started to look into this more because why? Anything that they claim is to help black people, you can bet your bottom dollar it's the opposite. Okay? 90% of the HBCUs is named after their liberal white donors. Okay, why didn't they come out with that truth? Okay, we're going to pull, brothers and sisters, we're pulling the covers back today. We're pulling the covers back today. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Satan goes to school, brothers and sisters. Follow us to the book of Proverbs, the 22nd chapter. Brothers and sisters, follow us to the book of Proverbs, the 22nd chapter. Okay, we're at Proverbs 22:6 in the King James Version Bible. The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Satan Goes to School. Satan goes to school. Okay, we're at Proverbs 22:6, and it reads, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Take a look at that. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Let's take a look at that one more time. We're at Proverbs, the 22nd chapter and the 6th verse, and it reads, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Brothers and sisters, the passage suggests that the teachings children receive in their early years greatly impact their outlook on life. Okay, the passage emphasizes the importance for parents to recognize how exposure to certain influences can shape their children's development into adulthood. Okay, the text underscores how a child's upbringing can have long-lasting consequences. Okay, consider that, right? The author stresses that children will learn from someone, and for their safety, it should be their parents who provide that kind of guidance. Okay, God foresaw that in the last days, what would happen, brothers and sisters? In the last days, we would be rife, society would be rife with sexual immorality, which is why the Lord recommends parents to closely monitor their children's education. Okay? Think about this. The Bible warns us about the academic institutions that we allow our children to attend. Right? And when I say children, I'm speaking all the way up to university. Okay? Because someone who's in college is a child to me. Okay? So we're living in a time where children are being influenced by atheists, and Satan is at work. Okay, it's clear Satan is at work in these schools. Okay, think about that, brothers and sisters. Really consider that. Most parents have no idea that gender identity is being taught to elementary and middle school students. As we speak, gender identity is being forced on young children through sex education classes.
I'm Scott Thuman. The school board is expected to vote tonight on teaching gender identity to 7th graders. As 7 News' Nick Minock reports, the school board is also expected to decide if elementary schools should teach kids about gender identity, following major pushback from parents.
The Fairfax County School Board is expected to vote on sweeping changes to family life and sex education curriculum. 16 members on the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee are seeking the school board's direction to explore teaching gender identity in elementary schools. In the report, the committee said they are committed to, quote, providing a curriculum that values and supports all students and normalizes human sexuality, sexual development, and sexual health. The exclusion of gender identity at the elementary level does not create an environment that is open and accepting of all students or provide a safe space for students to learn about themselves and others, unquote. Fairfax County parent Vanessa Hall is on the committee that proposed the recommendations to the school board.
Family life education, it's something that I think is really critical to help both protect children and enable them to thrive in our community.
But these Fairfax County parents see things differently.
Introducing gender ideology in elementary school is inappropriate.
It does not belong in elementary at all. These are kids that still believe in Santa Claus. They're not equipped at all. That's the age where you accept as truth what you're told. And as teachers, you're supposed to help navigate truth, not impose somebody's ideology.
The public only had 1 month to weigh in on the recommended changes. Most of the recommendations had little to no responses from parents. The recommendation that got the most feedback by far was including the topic of gender spectrum in elementary instruction. More than 2,100 people provided feedback. Many people said this is inappropriate and that elementary age children are too young to understand complex concepts like gender identity and gender spectrum. Some people said parents should be the primary educator on sensitive topics such as gender identity. And some people said discussing gender identity in schools may conflict with the cultural and religious beliefs of many families, and that early introduction of gender identity topics may confuse young children.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to the book of Romans, the 12th chapter and the 2nd verse. The title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. We're at Proverbs 12:2, and it reads, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." Let's take a look at that again. Romans 12:2, and it reads, "And be not conformed to this world, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God." Okay, brothers and sisters, to present your mind for renewal means to view situations from God's perspective. Okay, a renewed mind views circumstances through God's lens. Okay, that's what it means to have a renewed mind. Notice Paul discloses that God assesses our spiritual growth by looking at our thought process. It's how we think. Okay, Paul imparts an important psychological insight. Okay, our thoughts influence our actions and behaviors. See that? Paul advises against succumbing to the allure of the world, cautioning us to resist its temptations. Okay, notice that. The Bible teaches us not to conform to the ways of the world. Okay, don't conform to worldly thinking. Why? It's corrupt. Worldly thinking is corrupt, brothers and sisters. Okay, the Bible instructs us against adopting worldly thinking because it's considered poisonous in the eyes of God. Okay, worldly thinking, embracing the popular culture of today is poisonous. Okay, the Bible teaches that if we are preoccupied with worldly matters, we will always struggle to find deep connection with God. Okay, and this is so very important, right? Embrace what the scripture is telling us. Why? Children are being indoctrinated into accepting unbiblical beliefs. Okay, imagine you are a parent who doesn't agree with homosexuality, but you have to send your child to a school that is promoting it. Many parents ignored the fact that San Jose School District in California held a Pride Month ceremony in reverence and respect to those living the alternative lifestyle.
Today is June 1st, the kickoff of Pride Month, and one San Jose school district is sending a message of inclusion with a special ceremony this morning. ABC 7 News reporter Matt Keller is live at the headquarters of the Franklin McKinley School District with details. Matt?
Hi, Kristen. Yeah, the ceremony just ended about a half hour ago. There it is, right underneath the state flag. This is the second year Franklin McKinley School District has done this for the LGBTQ Pride Month. The district superintendent, Juan Cruz, says they've received a positive response to last year's ceremony. They say this flag-raising ceremony is in honor of their commitment to ensuring a safe and inclusive learning environment for all students, regardless of race, immigration status, religion, sexual orientation, and other protected class.
I think it's a continuous effort from our standpoint to tell our community that we're here to support all students, regardless of any differences that they may feel they have.
Hey, did I miss your here? Let's do it.
Superintendent Cruz says all their schools also started workshops for anti-bullying and acceptance of sexuality and identity. They've also changed all their signs on their single-stall restrooms. Instead of saying girls or boys, it just says inclusive.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to the book of Leviticus, the 20th chapter and the 13th verse. The title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Satan goes to school, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're at Leviticus 20 and 13, and it reads, if a man also lies with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Both of them have committed an abomination. Okay. Leviticus 20 and 13 reads, if a man also lies with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Brothers and sisters, the Bible explicitly states that homosexual acts are against God's law and are considered to be morally wrong. Okay, the Bible teaches that homosexual behavior is contrary to God's design for human relationships, and it therefore is deemed as a violation of his law. Okay, here we learn that engaging in same-sex relationships is a violation of God's commandments, and that will lead to God's wrath, his judgment. Okay, and we wonder why people who live the alternative lifestyle struggle with depression. Okay, over 95% of them at some point have been prescribed antidepressants, and we wonder why. You wonder why, right? When you're using something outside of its purpose, okay, if I used a screwdriver as a fork or a spoon, it would frustrate the purpose. Anytime you use a product for the incorrect purpose, it's going to lead to malfunctioning. Okay, man is not supposed to lay down with man. And when he does, he becomes angry. He becomes a hater of God. Okay, he becomes depressed. Why? He's moving in a way that God doesn't see fit. Same thing for sisters. Okay, a sister who's living the alternative lifestyle and totally angry against men. They're angry inwardly. Okay, according to the Bible, homosexuality is considered a sin because it goes against what is natural. Okay, it is not a part of God's original plan. Okay, think about that. According to the Bible, engaging in homosexual relationships is considered a sin that will result in the punishment of God. Okay, encouraging alternative lifestyles is equivalent to endorsing the exploitation of children, the sexual exploitation of children. If you support the alternative lifestyle, you support the sexual abuse of children without any shadow of a doubt. Because those people, 9 times out of 10, okay, should not be with children. Should not be with children. 2 homosexuals should not be adopting. Because why? The likelihood that that child gets sexually abused is 99%. Okay, so let's talk about it. Promoting the alternative lifestyle means endorsing the abduction, rape, and killing of children. Okay, predators come in different shapes, and they often are the last people you anticipate. Okay, the last people you anticipate. All right, a lot of people didn't know that Black History Month was instituted so they could later institute Pride History Month. Okay, so they used Black History Month as a Trojan horse. They said, you know what? In order to teach gay history, we have to teach Black history. So we'll teach Black history. We'll implement this a few years in advance, knowing that the only reason we've done that is so we could come behind it and offer up the rainbow history, right? If you've allowed it to be done for Black history, you have to allow it to be done for Pride history. Okay, the Black community has continued to be used as a harlot, all right, as a whore. All right, if you can teach Black History Month, you have to be able to teach Pride History Month. And that's what legislators were banking on. Okay, the Black community and Black History Month was used so that schools all across the country could later teach LGBT history. Okay, the government used Black History Month as a Trojan horse only to lead to what? Implementing a month of history for the Rainbow Coalition. All right, many people had no clue that Virginia schools had dedicated an entire month to the teaching of children about LGBT history.
12 weeks after the vibrant celebrations of Pride Month comes a more subtle recognition of the LGBTQ community.
So I think LGBTQ History Month is recognizing the struggles that the LGBTQ community has had to overcome.
October marks a month-long observation of the history of gay rights and contributions of LGBTQ figures. But unlike many other history months, LGBTQ history is not widely recognized in Virginia schools.
I think teaching this would result in students having a better understanding and grasp around the LGBTQ community, who they are, what they've done, who people are in the community. And I think as a result of the increased awareness, it would potentially cause less discrimination to occur.
Discrimination that unfortunately hits close to home. 16-year-old Alexander Campbell says he witnessed students damage an LGBTQ History Month banner at Powhatan High School. After it was thrown in the trash, those students were disciplined and the principal decided not to rehang it, saying it caused substantial disruption in the learning environment.
I think we have to evaluate who was it disruptive to. Is it disruptive to LGBTQ students when they see that banners like this, when the bullies are allowed to win at school? Absolutely. What I've personally seen from this at school is a decrease in mental health, a decrease in self-confidence, particularly among LGBTQ students. And I think it really was disheartening.
Campbell says the incident sheds a light on the need for more LGBTQ education. Take a look at this map. 6 states have passed legislation requiring schools to implement LGBTQ inclusive curriculum, including California and New Jersey, while a few states ban instruction on LGBTQ issues in public schools, like Texas and Mississippi. Virginia does not mandate or forbid it, but allows local school divisions to include it in their lessons if they choose.
There's this fear of teaching that which has not been taught before, right? But we did that throughout our history. We've done it with civil rights.
Dr. Judith Dunkerley Bean is an assistant professor of literacy at Old Dominion University. She works with teachers on ways to introduce LGBTQ topics into their classrooms.
Know how to include materials that the children saw themselves reflected in, whether it was picture books or in news stories or in social studies texts, so that it became representative, right?
And representation matters, she says. According to GLSEN, 90% of LGBTQ students hear discriminatory comments at school. 84% report verbal abuse, and 25% say they've been physically hurt by another student because of their sexual orientation.
Brothers and sisters, we're here at Proverbs 18 and 21 in the NLT version of the Bible, and it reads, the tongue can bring life or death, the tongue can bring death or life. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Proverbs 18 and 21, the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. Brothers and sisters, the Bible tells us how powerful the words we say can be. Okay, if we examine this passage carefully, the Lord warns us the power that comes with words. See that? Think about that. Okay, for those who live in the United States, we know there's been an attack on the English language. Satan has looked to destroy the etymology, the origin of words, and the laws of grammar. Okay, over the past 5 years, we have catered to the alphabet mafia, offering them pronouns for their sexual identity. Schools everywhere are destroying the laws of grammar and the etymology of words by allowing people to choose their own pronouns. A lot of people did not know that it is the Ivy League schools that is at the forefront of promoting pronouns among the transgenders. Okay, many students and parents are totally unaware that Penn State, Ivy League University, was one of the first schools to start promoting gender-neutral language.
In efforts to move away from a, quote, male-centric academic world and towards more equity and inclusion, Penn State University is going to be removing gendered and binary terms from course and program descriptions.
Our Alyssa Royster stopped by the campus in Center County to hear what students think about the change.
When asked, what year are you? Students typically answer with, I'm a freshman. But those terms have recently come to an end here at Penn State after their Senate decided they were too male specific.
I think it'll take a little bit of time, but it'll definitely catch on quickly.
After a 125-13 vote, Penn State University will be moving away from using academic grouping titles.
Seems kind of overdue.
According to the Senate, terms like freshman, upperclassmen, and lowerclassmen can be interpreted as both sexist and classist, which is why they'll now be referring to students as
first year, second year,
third year, and so on. Morgan freezes for the change and says it personally makes more sense to her.
But I know there's also like backlash from like alumni and stuff who have are so familiar with those terms. So I mean, it's definitely a point of controversy, but I think that it's really like a good step for Penn State.
The university will also move away from the use of gendered pronouns like she, her, hers, and he, him, his. Instead, they'll be replaced with they, them, and theirs, or other non-gendered terms.
I feel it's great. It's a good start to change everything, but it might be weird at first.
According to the Senate, it was time to close the loop and ensure that everyone is able to choose their gender identity, as well as have their systems and documents reflect inclusivity from the start.
The very schools that we should be learning about the laws of grammar and the definitions of words from have been infiltrated by Satan. Okay? Academic institutions are no longer teaching the truth. They're teaching political ideology instead. Okay? And we're going to discuss that. Why the very schools that parents trusted to teach their children grammar, English, arithmetic are now totally obliterating the laws of grammar. Okay? Anytime a school is using pronouns for transgenders, they have been infiltrated by Satan. Okay? 90% of all universities here in the United States have been infiltrated by the Rainbow Mafia. Many people totally ignored the fact that the University of Northern Illinois told their staff and students that they need to use pronouns for transgender.
I think we're becoming more aware of pronouns because people are using pronouns outside of the binary of he or she. Introducing yourself with your pronouns and asking someone else for their pronouns is better to do up front because you're creating, first of all, an open dialogue.
Yeah, I get misgendered all the time because of the way I present myself. I mean, it happens. I just correct people.
And it wasn't until I went to the Creating Change conference this year that I learned that it was an option to not use she, her, hers, or he, him, his. And I met and connected with other people who identified the same way as I did and felt the same way as I did, and it really changed my perspective.
If someone gives you a pronoun that you've not heard before, it's a great opportunity for you to, on your own time, do some research. Facebook gives, I think, 50 different gender identifiers.
When I teach students about linguistics, the most important thing I teach them is that everybody's way of speaking is okay.
I do not use pronouns. I use my name as my pronoun.
I'm a freshman and my pronouns are he, him, his. It's draining when someone's constantly misgendering you and just ignoring you. It's just rude.
My favorite thing to do is these nifty little ask my pronoun buttons I've gotten from the lovely Gender and Sexuality Resource Center. I have about 10, and I put them on every article of clothing that I have all the time.
Continue to educate yourself and not put it on the person whose pronouns or name that they go by that you don't understand.
Correct grammar is is a social construct, like all other social constructs. Kindness trumps grammar.
Brothers and sisters, follows to the book of Psalms, the 18th chapter and the 30th verse. Psalms 18 and 30, and it reads, "As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those who trust him." Buckler is a protection. Okay. Proverbs 18 and 30 reads, "As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried." It's been tested. He is a buckler to all those who trust him. See that? The scriptures teach us that God's way is completely flawless, without any fault or mistake. Okay, according to the text, what, brothers and sisters? According to the text, the Bible should serve as our ultimate moral guideline, okay? Not academic sources. The Lord tells us God's word should be our primary source of learning, not academic institutions, not academic curricula, okay? Not academic sources, okay? The text clearly presents God as the ultimate judge and authority when it comes to truth and what is morally right. Okay? The passage teaches us that God's standards are the true standards for righteousness. Okay? Think about that. Think about that, brothers and sisters. The passage underscores the importance of trusting the Bible as the foundation for understanding morality and truth. See that? Let's talk. Let's talk about that. Why educational institutions from elementary to university have been influenced by those who do not appreciate the Bible. Okay, the Bible encourages us to trust more in its teachings. Okay, trust more in biblical literature than what's learned in these academic establishments. Okay, it is a fact that cannot be denied that the LGBT community has widespread influence within the academic world. Open your eyes. If you don't know that, it's because you don't want to know it. Okay, many parents remain unaware that high schools across the United States are encouraging the use of pronouns for transgender students. Okay, academics. Think about this. Academics, academia, from elementary on up to university, has clearly been infiltrated by those who do not honor or respect the Bible. Okay, the Bible tells us that we should have what? We should have more faith in what we read in the Bible than what we learn in these academic institutions. Let's be clear on that. Why? The realm of education, spanning from elementary to all the way in universities, has been influenced by agendas that do not uphold or respect biblical principles. Okay, think about that. Why? There has been a noticeable infiltration of the Rainbow Coalition and its activism in academic environments. Okay, the Rainbow Mafia is shaping curriculum, policies, and cultural norms within schools and universities across countless countries. Okay, the Rainbow Mafia, the Alphabet Mafia, has infiltrated academics on a global scale, brothers and sisters. Okay, many parents are not even aware that high schools all across the United States are promoting pronouns being used for transgender students.
Gender-identifying pronouns causing controversy in Johnson County, Tennessee schools.
News 5's Liam Bridgman spoke with school administrators about an incident parents want addressed.
Parents here in Johnson County are in an uproar after a course teacher addressed gender-identifying pronouns in the classroom. In the school board meeting Thursday night, parents voiced their concerns.
I don't want somebody else telling my kids what to believe.
Parents and community members directed their worries toward board members and director of schools, Michelle Simcox. One local pastor says this act was out of line.
I have some parents in my congregation that are concerned that their beliefs and their standards that they live by and the ones that what they teach their children may be attacked or undermined by conversations like this coming up at school.
Simcox says she didn't receive any phone calls from parents regarding this matter.
We do regret that this situation has happened, and I do apologize for any confusion that it has caused among parents or students. Tennessee law forbids educators from utilizing their classrooms to push any controversial issues. And of course, our school system tries to ensure that our staff members are not doing that.
Some parents even called for the resignation of the teacher. But according to Simcox, if Johnson County Schools fired the teacher, they would risk a Title VII lawsuit. This prohibits sex discrimination in employment, which includes discrimination based on gender identity.
There's overwhelmingly support in the community that this teacher be terminated.
Yes.
And no law should protect a teacher when the vast majority of parents who are sending their kids to school don't want them to be taught by this teacher.
From elementary school to university, the educational system has been influenced by individuals who do not hold the Bible in high regard. Okay, the Bible teaches us to have faith in what we read in the scriptures, not what we're taught in academic settings. Okay, let's be clear on that. It is undeniable that the rainbow community has made its presence felt in academic institutions all across the world. And we're going to reveal that today. Why? The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, the title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Satan goes to school. Satan goes to school. We wanted to show, brothers and sisters, that from elementary on up to Ivy League universities, Satan has infiltrated academics. Okay, we have to be aware of this because why? Many of us go to college and become atheists. Most people become further away from God when they go into university. Am I saying you can't have a successful relationship with God in university? We're not saying that. What we are saying is consider your ways. Consider your ways. Pray to the Most High. Does the Most High want you there indoctrinated? If you have children, okay, I had to pull my children out of school and homeschool because why? Where we live at, it's totally liberal. It's totally liberal here on the West Coast. Okay, so we wanted to remove our children out of that indoctrination center called school. Okay, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that today, brothers and sisters. The title of today's broadcast, Satan Goes to School. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17 in the NLT Version Bible. Brothers and sisters, we're at Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 4th verse in the NLT version of the Bible, and it reads, "The wonderful possession I have reserved for you will slip from your hands. I will tell your enemies to take you captives to a foreign land, for my anger blazes like a fire that will burn forever." Let's talk about that. Jeremiah 17:4 reads, "The wonderful possession I have reserved for you will slip from your hands. I will tell your enemies, I will tell your enemies, I will tell your enemies to take you as captives to a foreign land. For my anger blazes like a fire that will burn forever." Brothers and sisters, according to biblical teachings, our bondage in the Black community stems from our rebellion against God. Take a look at what that passage says. The Lord would tell our enemies to make slaves out of us and take us into a foreign land. Okay? We really have to consider that. Why? Why, brothers and sisters? The Bible highlights the link between our disobedience and our enslavement. Okay, the passage offers genuine insight into Black history, which is often neglected and excluded from academic programs. Let's be honest here, okay? More truth in churches and educational institutions about the true history of slavery would help reduce the ongoing racial tension in society. If the Negroes knew the truth of why we went into bondage, we wouldn't blame white people. And see, this is why they won't tell the truth, because they need the racial division. Okay, if I understood that I was made a slave, my forefathers was made a slave because of what we did, we would stop seeing ourselves as victims. Okay, based on the teachings found in the Bible, our state of enslavement stems from our rebellion and disobedience against God's commandments. Okay, if churches and educational institutions were more transparent and willing to confront the uncomfortable reality of slavery, it could play a significant role in reducing racial tension. Okay, this particular passage offers insights into Black history. Okay, and it's the Black history that's left out of the mainstream university curriculums. Why are they not teaching this in the universities? Why are they not teaching that the Negroes are the Jews of the Bible and their slavery was a fault of their own? Okay, by acknowledging these truths openly within educational institutions, society can foster a more comprehensive and honest view of history. Okay, think about that. Why? This particular passage seeks to address any negative feelings or accusations that the Black community might hold against the white community. Okay, think about that. The text argues that transparency about the history of slavery in churches and schools could reduce racial tensions. See that? See? According to biblical teachings, the only group of people who have been enslaved by others are those regarded as God's chosen people, the children of Israel, the Jews. Okay? Think about that. The Bible foresees that God's chosen people would be recognized by enslavement in a foreign land. See that? See? Many parents are unaware that critical race theory, CRT, which emphasizes the existence and impact of systemic racism, is being incorporated into school curriculum. Yes, CRT is being taught in schools. Critical race theory has been taught in schools. Okay? Think about that. Educational institutions choose to portray Blacks as victims through CRT instead of acknowledging our biblical heritage as descendants of Israel. Okay? CRT is utilized in public schools and universities to teach Black students that they are victims of systemic racism. Okay? That's the whole point. Think about that. Think about that. There is no need for schools to teach children about the history of racism unless they're prepared to present a biblical perspective on slavery and racial discrimination. And if you're not, then back on up, buddy. We don't need you to teach our children about Black history. Let Black parents do that. Okay? When CRT is introduced into educational programs, it intentionally fosters racial divisions between Black and white students. That's the intention. Okay? We're going to talk about it. Why? This passage should dispel any resentment or blame that the Negroes have against the Caucasians. Okay? Because here the Lord tells us that we would go into captivity because we made God angry. See that? It's not because white people didn't like us. Had nothing to do with white people liking us. Okay, the Bible says that his chosen people would be distinguished by going into bondage. Think about that. Think about that. In the Bible, it is depicted that the only ethnic group to have ever been enslaved by another race of people are those considered to be the children of Israel. If churches and educational institutions were more honest about the history of slavery, it would help reduce the racial tensions that exist in the world, brothers and sisters. Okay, many parents are not even aware that CRT, which is the study of racism, is being taught in grade level schools. Many parents are they're unbeknownst to the fact that this type of garbage is being taught. Okay, for those who are unfamiliar with CRT, it's when schools teach about the history of racism in the United States. That's what it is. Okay, CRT, critical race theory. Okay, CRT is a way used by state-funded schools to teach Black people that they're victims that can never have success without white people giving them a handout. Okay, when CRT is being taught in schools, they're telling Black and white students to have racial tension. That's where it's being done. Okay, we don't need schools teaching our children about the history of racism unless you want to teach the biblical perspective on slavery and racism. Okay, schools would never teach Negroes that they are the children of Israel written of in the Bible. Instead, they'd rather give them CRT, okay, to teach them their victims.
New at 10 o'clock, some parents unleashed some pretty big verbal attacks on the Fort Worth School Board tonight for the independent school district. They're calling, in fact, on the board to resign. This is in the wake of revelations that a training course in critical race theory, or CRT for short, has been offered to teachers. CBS 11's J.D. Miles was at the meeting for you tonight to take you inside the backlash.
The state legislature made teaching critical race theory to students illegal during the recent special session. But a conservative watchdog group found a CRT training manual for Fort Worth ISD teachers that some parents say is an effort to circumvent the law. Dozens of parents staged a rally outside Fort Worth ISD this evening, calling on Superintendent Kent Scribner to resign.
Critical race theory has been banned thanks to Senate Bill 3.
Carlos Tercios is a conservative activist who found the school district had recently given teachers a course on critical race theory, or CRT. It's a study of the impact of systematic racism behind events and issues, both past and present. That angered parents who say it has no business in schools.
Your first responsibility is to teach our children how to read, write, and perform mathematics.
And I'm also here on behalf of This Is Texas Freedom Force. I'm here to oppose CRT and its radical, divisive, unnecessary curriculum that has no place in this country and no place in the state of Texas whatsoever.
The meeting got so heated at times, some parents had to be forcibly removed from the microphone by security. A smaller group of parents spoke in favor of CRT and improving racial equity in a school district with a high number of minority students.
Brothers and sisters, follows to the book of Isaiah, the 5th chapter and the 13th verse. Okay, we're at Isaiah 5 and 13, the title of today's broadcast. Satan goes to school. Okay, we're at Isaiah 5 and 13, and it reads, "Therefore my people are gone into captivity. Therefore my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst." Listen to this, brothers and sisters. Isaiah 5 and 13 reads, "Therefore my people are gone where? Into captivity." Why? Because they have no knowledge. Brothers and sisters, anyone with eyes should be able to see that there is an agenda behind the federal government's attempt to promote Black history, to talk about racism. Okay, the enslavement of our people occurred due to our limited knowledge of the Bible. Okay, we should reject anything offered as beneficial for the Black community, especially when it comes from the federal government. Okay, why? According to the Bible, the scriptures mention a period of enslavement for the ethnic Jews. See that? Take a look at that. Why? It is prophesied in the Bible that the ethnic Jews mentioned in scriptures would endure periods of enslavement. See that? Think about that. Consider that the Bible states that the ethnic Jews would face enslavement. Okay? Embrace that. Why? The reason for our enslavement, as indicated in God's word, is our lack of interest in learning God's will. See that? The Bible explicitly states that our enslavement was not arbitrary or without reason. It was attached to a much deeper spiritual cause. Okay? Think about that. Educational institutions are promoting Black history in a manner that contradicts the scriptures. Okay, according to the passage, the Black community was enslaved due to a lack of knowledge and obedience to God's commandments. Okay, the Bible indicates that because we did not pursue an intimate relationship with the Most High as his chosen people, there were severe consequences. Okay, think about that. Why? Academic institutions should not be teaching Black history unless it's sourced in the Bible. Okay? And we're going to be clear on that. Why? It may come as a surprise to many that Black Lives Matter has developed curriculum that's being implemented in many liberal cities. Okay? The Black Lives Matter movement has seeped into the curriculum of academic institutions, and there has been little opposition against it.
Yes, good evening. We are here at the Rainier Beach Community Center where, as you can see off to my left, the social equity educators just held a press conference to announce that Black Lives Matter at School Week will take place February 5th through February 9th at every school in Seattle. It's been endorsed by the Seattle Education Association. We've also been told that during this week, teachers will be teaching Black history and also about Black identity to their students. Now, just last year, close to 3,000 teachers wore Black Lives Matter t-shirts and taught Black history. And this movement, it was an overall success, I was told, but it did catch a little bit of heat from some people. But organizers tell me that they're going to try to build off of that momentum.
Well, I think the racial disparities scream that we need to do something bold, and so here's an effort to change the status quo.
The opportunity gap continues to grow between white students and Black students in the Seattle Public Schools. The Seattle Public Schools' own recent report shows that from 6th grade to 12th grade, Black students are suspended at an outrageous 7 times greater than white students in the public school system here, and that's creating a school-to-prison pipeline.
Across the nation, high schools are incorporating teachings that are unbiblical and unethical into their curricula. Okay, there should be serious concerns about the moral and spiritual direction of education in this country. Okay, organizations like Black Lives Matter are portrayed as grassroots movements advocating for justice, but in reality, brothers and sisters, they're much more complex. Okay, Black Lives Matter functions as a rainbow organization that promotes a form of racial idolatry using racial division. Okay, parents must stay informed about what is being taught in their children's schools. Okay, it's essential that parents are actively reviewing the curriculum and stay engaged in the educational process to ensure their values, to ensure their beliefs are upheld. Okay, if parents are unaware of the specific content being presented to their children, they need to begin investigating immediately. Immediately. Why? It is easy to see that schools nationwide are incorporating divisive topics into curriculum for young students. Okay, educational institutions, these environments, these settings are implementing teachings that contribute to racial division, a reality that just cannot be ignored. Okay, it is often overlooked, brothers and sisters, that Juneteenth is being acknowledged and celebrated in schools throughout the nation. Yeah, instead of underscoring biblical holidays, biblical holy days like the Passover, schools are prioritizing the introduction of Juneteenth and Pride Month to students. Okay, there is no justification for pressuring students to partake in the observance of Juneteenth. Okay, across the country, schools are observing Juneteenth and intentionally creating racial division among students.
A local school celebrated the Juneteenth holiday early with the help of Smithfield Foods.
About 20 volunteers from the business visited Achievable Dream Academy in Newport News this morning to read to the students. It was held in conjunction with Smithfield's Black Professionals Network. Volunteers read the book We Belong Together, as well as quotations of Martin Luther King Jr. Students then participated in an activity or discussion about accepting others' differences. LaTanya Sumter with Smithfield says Juneteenth was chosen for this community activity to highlight reading.
The fact that with Juneteenth, a lot of the slaves did not even know that they were free because they could not read. And so there's this underlying current of literacy and the importance thereof. And so we thought that we would use that and really highlight that and come in and read to the students.
10 on your side's Kara Dixon also tagged along to read for some of the students. It's part of Smithfield Foods' diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, not just for the community, but also employees.
There is no reason why elementary, middle, and high school students should be celebrating Juneteenth. There's no way that this should be promoted in school. Okay, it's continual racial idolatry. Okay, and here it is again, Europeans saying, hey, we'll give you a day to free we'll give you a day to celebrate when we freed the slaves. So once again, they want Black people to see themselves as victims. Okay, here, boy, celebrate this day when you are no longer a slave. Listen, my brother, my sister, we don't want that. Okay, and I have to openly confess, I'm sure there's a lot of liberals, a lot of white liberals, a lot of white Democrats who actually believe they're doing the right thing. Okay, doing it, out the goodness of their heart, but we don't want it. Okay, we don't need holy days and holidays that you give us. We have our own holidays, the Passover, first fruits, Feast of Tabernacles, Hanukkah. As Jews, we have our own celebratory days. We don't need some white government giving us days to celebrate. Okay, and we wanted to magnify the point that this is going on in schools. Okay, there's so much political jargon. There's so much being taught in schools in these academic settings that are totally against God. Okay, and Juneteenth is one of them. Okay, we don't want to talk about slavery unless you're going to teach the truth about it, what the origin was, our disobedience to God. If you're not willing to do that, then back on up. We don't need your spin on Black history. We don't need your spin on Juneteenth. We don't want it. Okay, and we want to put it out there. We want to put it out there. Why, brothers and sisters? Indoctrination, propaganda has come through the infiltration of academic institutions. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Satan Goes to School. We wanted to show today, brothers and sisters, how the schools have been infiltrated. We wanted to give examples of what's being taught in these institutions. Okay, because why? Many people are totally unaware of what's going on in the hallways of these schools. Okay, and it's our job at the Commandment Keepers Church to keep brothers and sisters abreast to what's going on out there in the news cycle. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, Satan Goes to School. We want to say, Kwam Yasharala, sin no more.